Hey guys, I'm Caitlin. I did my social cause project on organ donation. It's a huge issue, especially in the United States, because there is more people that need a transplant, and there's a very few people that are on the donor list to give a donation of their vital organs when they're deceased. The magnitude of this issue is that there's only 54% of adults in the United States that are registered on the donor list. We can obviously increase that with more people signing up. It doesn't matter if you have health issues or not. They'll take what they can. According to the database that lists the amount of people waiting on a transplant list, the current number right now is 113,727. That is actually just recently. So it was February 28th that that number was confirmed. There is a person added to the donor list every 10 minutes. When people aren't getting transplants, nearly 22 people die a day just waiting on one. The main causes of, the lack of organ donation is that, obviously there's not enough people on the registry. So, when there's not enough people to fulfill, whether they're on the donor list or they're actually stepping up and, donating an organ to someone, you're going to be waiting quite a while. From my personal knowledge, I know it's 5+ years for, a typical patient to get a transplant. Sometimes it could be less, sometimes it could be more. It depends on your situation, depends on where you are on the list, your blood type, and also whether or not there is someone out there willing to step up and give you an organ. A lot of the times that people expect, if they were to give up an organ or something, that there's going to be an incentive to it. And the incentives that are typical, which would be, the goodfulness of your heart, stepping up and giving someone an organ, knowing that you're actually going to fulfill someone else's life even longer. A lot of those expectations, they're not what people expect. Some people expect money, things like that. Also, there is a lack of knowledge about organ donation. A lot of people don't understand how organ donation works, where you can sign up, what you can do to actually help organ donation. And also, when people are pronounced brain dead, the families have to step up and say whether or not they want to donate the vital organs to someone, who's on the transplant list. And a lot of the negative impacts that these families feel really, shy them away from donating their loved ones' organs. They'll feel guilty. They'll have some doubt. They're going to be concerned whether they're going to be supported by their family members because they stepped up and did a good thing. And also, they're afraid of establishing a relationship with the recipient that got their loved one's organ. And they're also scared that the transplant team that takes care of the organ is not going to fulfill what they need to. And a lot of times families will not step up and donate the organs because of, these types of factors. Organ donation really does need funding. You need funding for, research in general, immunosuppression, anti-rejection medications, which a lot of people don't know. A lot of these transplant patients actually have to take. And also there needs to be research on animal organs because, you never know whether a pig or a cow or a monkey, if their organ could actually be put inside of another human to help. In Illinois, they actually set up a campaign in the DMV, and it actually helped more people to get signed up. So when people understand that, you can save 8 people's lives just by donating your own organs, it really helps bring perspective on how important organ donation actually is. Now, if this crisis were not to be addressed, the lack of funding would obviously happen. You wouldn't be able to get your in-depth research. The number of patients would actually die, would increase. So if you don't donate, whether it's money or your organs or anything, you're going to increase the patient death rate. Which is going to lower the number of people, obviously, in the United States, even though there is, a birth every, I believe, 8 seconds, there's a death every 11. But in long term, it's going to take reality, like a longer toll on the population. Currently, right now, they actually are investigating whether pigs can be used for your a vital organ, such as a kidney or a heart or whatever. I know that pig valves are a thing. My uncle actually had one put in a few years ago. And actually, the U.S. government back in 2016 funded $200 million towards research for this. For getting the wait time on the transplant down. Because like I said earlier, it is roughly 5 years to wait on the transplant for an organ. We need to start researching more, animals. We need to start researching different medications, how to make these transplants last longer so the transplant list does go down in time. So I did this because I actually am a transplant patient. I had my transplant back in May 14th of 24 or May 16th of 2016. Actually 2014. I was diagnosed back in 2013, May 22nd, so roughly 3 days before my 20th birthday. I spent my 20th birthday in the hospital. I did 2 types of dialysis. I did a peritoneal dialysis, which is actually a port in your stomach to help draw fluid and, draw it out. And then I also did hemodialysis, which is a port up near your carotid artery, and they drew out fluid that way. And it takes all the toxins, which your kidneys are supposed to do. I did only hemo for a few months, just waiting for my peritoneal port to heal correctly. I actually had a live donor. Her name is Heather. She's from where I live, and she is actually the manager at Fifth Third of my local branch. The type of kidney disease that I had was Goodpasture syndrome. It's a very rare kidney disease. It's 1 in a million, and doctors hadn't seen it very much, so it was very hard for them to do research and everything on it because of the amount of information that there was. Right before I found out that I was on the transplant list, my uncle actually passed away. So on top of all the stress of my kidney stuff, I had to deal with my uncle passing. But he was there, in spirit. So that was a good thing. And I had my transplant at the University of Michigan. I still go down there for checkups and everything else, and they're a really great transplant team down there. Now, personally, I would love to work with the University of Michigan and see if we could get some more awareness out there, doing some campaign stuff, maybe making some merchandise, because they are a big college, they are very well known, and they are actually one of the top transplant teams in the country. So I'm grateful for that. And any of the proceeds that we'd get from this, I would love to take half of them and donate it to research. Because there is so much research that can be done on anti-rejection medications and your immunosuppressants that you're on. So doing that would definitely help, the transplant list, and hopefully getting more people to sign up and, get them to take action in becoming aware of how important transplanting is, because you do have 2 kidneys, your liver will actually rebuild itself. They just need to take a portion of it. And then when you're deceased, you're in someone else. So you're still living in a sense. So it's a great way to to keep your spirit living, just by being a donor. So like I said, consider organ donation. This is a really big social cause.